NSARS, Market Match, Bring Back Our Girls. What do all these names have in common? Don't forget their hashtags. Well, they are social movements, and social media played a huge role in propagating their message. So in this video, we're going to be passing a verdict. Has social media ringed activism or not? Let's discuss. In June 2021, a lot of young Nigerians like me and older Nigerians are like, woke up to news that Twitter had been banned.
Nigerian leadership is drawing criticism following its ban of Twitter. Now, this ban will keep millions of people from accessing the popular social media platform.
Prior to that, attempts to pass an anti-social media bill had failed because social media played a really gigantic role in propagating the message of NSAS. So a lot of people believe that it was NSAS, everything that happened in NSAS, and now he was banning Twitter in 2021. There was also the fact that a few days back, some incisive tweets by President Muhammad Buhari had been deleted.
Buhari threatened to punish members of a secessionist movement in the country's southeast. Nigeria's information ministry accused Twitter of double standards in ignoring violent messages from a separatist leader.
For social media, especially Twitter, to have triggered the president so bad that he banned it, it means that it might actually be a viable tool for social movements. In the last decade, social media has become a powerful digital tool for organizing social movements in Nigeria. For centuries, youth have always been at the forefront of social movements. Because of they are young, they have enough time on their hands. Also, according to the NCC, Nigeria Communication Commission, 96% of youth in Nigeria use social media. Can you see the Venn diagram, you guys? Youth are always at the forefront of social movements. A lot of young people use social media. So it makes perfect sense that for young people organizing NSAS and obedience, social media was going to be their mechanism to propagate their message. Now, the NSAS and obedience movements owe a great deal of their success to social media. It was their tool for spreading information. It was their tool for improving awareness. It was their tool for garnering support. Another role that social media played in this moment was the sense of FOMO. Everyone is supporting Peter Obi on social media. Everyone is going out to protest. If you don't protest, you're probably going to look somehow. Outside of the FOMO for normal people, celebrities, popular people, influential people also felt that pressure. If you were not speaking about NSAS, if you were not supporting the obedience movement, you were wrong, according to the social media verdict. This is also where I mentioned that there is a paradoxical relationship between the mass media and social movement. And I'll explain why social media was that tool and is that tool for the social movements that we are seeing in this era. The mass media wants headlines. And guess who gives these headlines? Politicians. Every other day, one politician is doing something funny or crazy that would definitely make headlines. But with protests, there is nothing really headline worthy. It's just people want a voice. People want to be able to relay their grievances to the government. That is simply what it is. But guess what happens? When the protest starts getting violent, it is a headline. So that is typically when the mass media comes in. And when I mean mass media, I mean traditional media. So the reaction to people, according to Walgrave, to this ignorance of movement by the mass media is fourfold. One, they could ignore the media. Two, they could create their own. Three, they could attack the media. And four, they could adapt to the media. So when I think of NSAS and obedience, I think they did all four. We sort of created our own media by using social media to propagate the right information and the information we wanted the world to see. And in a way, people adapted because on these protest grounds for NSAS, you would see people granting interviews to traditional media. And there was also the attack on the media. Men who were casting aspersions on traditional media, they're not doing the right thing, they're not covering the right information, they're not telling the right stories. So I'll say for the Nigerian social movements, we were not just one fool, we were attacking, adapting, and creating our own form of media to tell the right story. The problem with social media is that it is a double-edged sword, right? While the good people, while the good people are using social media to propagate their message, the bad people are also on social media. Social media does not say only good people can be here, only bad people can be there. Both of us are here together. So, as the obedience movement were propagating their true message, and the other side were propagating their message that is not so true, it does a way of warping information. We don't really know what is right and what is wrong. It has just become a platform for everyone to push their agenda. Like someone said, agenda na orphan, adopt the one where you feel carry or something like that. So I'll say that is one downside of using social media for activism. But that's not really the main problem with using social media for activism. I believe that there are two major problems with using social media for activism. One, it encourages slacktivism, and two, it creates sort of a bubble in which you are only communicating with yourself. And finally, it has given rise to performative activism. I actually found this word online, and it's basically a form of lazy activism. People believe that all they need to do is retweet a hashtag or make a simple tweet or a single video on that issue, and that is fine. And this cuts across any social movement, whether it's a feminist movement or it's NSAS or it's obedience. I want to say that it is not enough to just tweet. While social media has come to help us to easily propagate our message, we also need to be ready to go out and do active work. Imagine if during NSAS everyone was just online. I don't think the movement would have garnered the kind of support that it did, and also been able to trigger a response from the government, even though the response was a bad one. This is to show you the importance of also having to be on ground as opposed to just using social media. So while social media is good, we also need to be careful not to fall into the idea of slacktivism. With this social movement, there's a pressure to speak up even when you have zero even when you have zero things to say. But if you were going out to do the groundwork, you can't fake the groundwork. I mean, some people can. That's why we literally have NGO culture, fake NGOs that are just faking activism work so they can get funding. That happens. I believe that it's easier to do performative activism with social media as opposed to when you're doing the actual work. In Nigeria, 67% of illiterates are women. This is to show you the number of illiterate people that we have in the country. And now I'm going to speak to feminist activism. So it's like when you're tweeting all these feminist thoughts on Twitter, on Instagram, on your blog, you are probably not speaking to the people that need the information the most. It's like you're basically communicating with people that think like you. Obviously, there's still some people that don't have sense on social media, and those ones to need to learn. But I'm just pointing out the danger of getting comfortable with social media as a tool for activism. But this is also where I mentioned that there's nothing wrong with being a Twitter feminist or a Twitter activist. A lot of the people that are going to shame you for being a Twitter feminist, they were proudly online protesters during NSAS. They were supporters of a social media president. So they do understand the power of social media, but when it comes to feminism, they want to reduce the work that you are doing. So don't feel bad if your activism is just on social media for now. But the point of this video is that you shouldn't get comfortable with that. You should know that social media is just one tool to propagating your message, and going out to do the groundwork is arguably more important. I believe that feminists like Emma Goldman, if they had social media, they wouldn't have to go out on the streets to share pamphlets and risk being thrown into prison. They could literally just do it on social media. So it's not all bad. The point of this is that you shouldn't get too comfortable with social media. So yeah guys, that is all the thoughts I have on social media and activism. Do you think that it has helped activism, or do you think it has negatively impacted activism? Please let me know. The gist of this video is that social media is a double-edged sword, like my friend Licky would put it. But let me tell you something, in whatever you want to see, just know social media is here to stay. The digital era is here. Our conversation should basically be tilted to how can we effectively utilize this tool. They sometimes say, oh, let's go back to first wave feminine. Let's go. Social media is here to stay. Just have that in mind when you're sharing your thoughts or your viewpoint. This topic is one that I've been wanting to talk about for the longest time. So when I saw this essay competition on digital youth and social movements, I knew I had to write about it. And it was a really interesting read. And it was also when I read this book that I realized that when people speak about social movements and social media, don't talk about Bring Back Our Girls. And Bring Back Our Girls was a very, very powerful movement. And you know the fun thing I learned about Bring Back Our Girls? I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I learned that the members of the movement refused donations because they thought that it was going to taint the movement, and that was really, really impressive. And Bring Back Our Girls was what, 2013, and they were able to garner the support that they did, even got people like Michelle Obama supporting. And guess what? Women were at the forefront of Bring Back Our Girls. And guess what? Women were also at the forefront of NSAS movement. I mean, it was like open to all genders, but I know that FEMCO also played a very huge role in the movement. You can't talk about NSAS without talking about FEMCO. So, yeah, up women and social movement. So yeah, guys, that is it for this video. If you really enjoyed it, please like this video, please share, comment, subscribe. I think I'm back to YouTube for now. I won't go away for 2 months. I promise that.